Chris Aarons, and this is a review of how can ATP be supplied to skeletal muscle cells. Will also be reviewed in this PowerPoint is describing the different time profiles associated with these mechanisms. To start off, there are three ways in which ATP is supplied to skeletal muscles. First is the immediate system. This system uses already pre-made ATP from earlier cellular respiration from stored food and/or organic molecules obtained earlier. This ATP is already present in the cell when contraction occurs. However, ATP can be used either in that exact form or, as stated earlier, in the preformed ATP form. And this is similar to the actual structure of ATP. However, it is slightly chemically different. This form is called creatine phosphate, which may be found in the vertebrae skeletal muscle. The second form of supplying ATP is the glycolytic system, which uses synthesized ATP made from anaerobic respiration, which is cellular respiration without the presence of oxygen. This process anaerobically breaks down carbohydrates, which produces lactic acid in human beings. The third form of supplying ATP is the oxidative system. This system is the most efficient because it creates ATP by means of aerobic cellular respiration, which requires the presence of oxygen. All the ATP made is from prior food molecules acquired earlier. This system requires oxygen because it depends on the citric acid cycle and the electron transport system, as well as fully oxidizing carbohydrates and lipids into water and carbon dioxide. There are different ways in which people can utilize these three systems to their advantage when performing athletic training. For example, the immediate system enables the cell to achieve a very high power output. It does so because it uses ATP made at an earlier time and already present in a cell when work starts. This system is perfect for sprinters and short-distance runners. Only a short amount of ATP can be present in a cell, and so this system can function for only a brief period of time, however. The glycolytic system can supply ATP at a high rate, however it is not as high as the immediate system. This system is self-limiting due to the constant buildup of lactic acid, and so this system cannot keep making ATP indefinitely. As the system makes ATP, it reaches a point at which it can no longer function, and it must then provide a resting period that may last anywhere from 10 minutes to several hours before the user could continue performing ATP this way. The last system, which is the oxidative system, makes ATP at a slower rate than the other two systems. However, the products it makes other than ATP are water and carbon dioxide, which animals can properly and effectively deal with. This system is not self-limiting, and so it can make ATP for very long periods of time, if and only if oxygen is properly provided and at an efficient rate to do so, to keep up with the constant supply and need of ATP. Here we can see the different workouts in which the previously stated systems allow for. The first picture is a sprinter who uses the immediate system to supply ATP to skeletal muscle to do short burst runs. The second picture is The Rock, who is depicting weightlifting, also known as resistance exercising. This would be an example of using the glycolytic system to supply ATP. Finally, the third picture shows marathon runners who rely on endurance and long supplies of ATP, and so these guys need to use the oxidative system to supply their skeletal muscle with the proper amount of ATP to allow for a continuing run. Different muscles require different ways in which ATP can be supplied. Slow oxidative cells, otherwise known as slow twitch or red cells, are designed to make most of their ATP aerobically using cellular respiration, as stated earlier. which requires a lot of O2. This explains why vertebrates have evolved high levels of the red hemoglobin-like compound myoglobin. Fast glycolytic cells, otherwise known as fast twitch or white cells, have high levels of enzymes needed for glycolytic anaerobic ATP synthesis. They also have a significant lower amount of mitochondria and the lack of myoglobin present. And so, with the lack of myoglobin present, this turns them into white cells. And this slide just sums up what was stated earlier, because the two systems do indeed vary greatly, and in some organisms, entire muscles can either be all red or all white, while others may have a mix.